Welcome back to Retail Therapy. My name's Will deFries. Barrett Dudley, how are we today?
Doing all right. Excited about today. You know, it's been a minute since we had a guest on, and I don't know. There's just there's a buzz in the room, right? It might just be everybody's anxiety, but it's there's energy. There's energy.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
We have two guests today.
That's true. I buried the lead there.
We'll start off with the familiar face, Sally. Welcome back to the program.
Hi.
Shouts to all the Sal gals out there.
Yeah.
They've been clamoring for you.
Have they?
Yeah. We get numerous DMs and a lot of DMs asking if you and Laura will be joining us for the gift guide episode. So it looks like we got to sort out a way to do this.
Got to do some scheduling.
Yep.
Yeah. Puzzle piece it. Tetris it together.
Yeah.
We also have a guest in the studio today. His first ever podcast. Very exciting stuff. He's going to do great.
He's going to do great.
Caleb Martin. Caleb, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Woohoo! This is a long time coming.
It is. It is. I think it's just been more on us not scheduling it correctly than it has been anything else. But
yeah.
We're here. Caleb, can you tell us a little bit about yourself to set the table for everybody?
Of course. Yeah. I am a nurse practitioner and I specialize in medical aesthetics. So I do procedures like Botox and fillers and lasers at a med spa called Skin Spirit here in Austin. I'm 29 years old. I'm married. I have a dog.
The first time I met you, we were talking about Instagram, and you said something about having 40 or something.
I remember this.
And I was like, "You're 40?" I was oh my god, maybe I need to start getting injections. I was like, "This is insane."
That's my biggest selling point, honestly. I just tell people I'm actually 87, and they're like, "Sign me up."
Happy to do it. Yeah.
We've got a ton of questions and things for Caleb, but before we do, I do want to get to some official business before we do anything. First and foremost, Sunday Scaries has a new candle out. There's still some available. There might not be some available by the time this episode releases, but the Everything Shower Candle is available. Sally, can you give it your review, please?
It's my favorite candle that you've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not doubting you.
I'm a big eucalyptus girl.
Okay.
That's high praise, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. The team over at Velobox was also a big fan of this candle. They said it was their current favorite. They did scale back a little bit and say that they still like Scary Christmas in New York in the fall, but it's their current front runner for the Sunday Scaries line.
Okay.
Smells like self-care.
Barrett wrote a little ditty for the. Can we say that anymore?
Oh, yeah. We probably shouldn't call things a little ditty.
Barrett wrote a column for the Substack at retailpod.substack.com on hats.
Yeah. I've been inspired by hats recently more than anything else. And I'm just like, you can't keep me away from a hat that just like costs a dumb amount of money.
Oh yeah. Stupid amount of money.
Stupid amount of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
What hat are you currently wearing? Well, you're not wearing it.
I'm not wearing it because with Caleb here, I wanted him to get like the full view of my sallow face.
Okay.
You know, so that he could really like give it the once over and help me on my journey to Botox or filler or both. But yeah, the hat in front of me is one that I actually list in the Substack article. It's from Pally Hollywood, a little grungy LA brand that's most famous for their James Dean Death Cult hats. Mm-hmm. But this is from their fall 24 drop. And I like it. Everybody knows the James Dean Death Cult hats. So this is like a little bit more, I like to be one step ahead. So
you like to zag when others may be zigging.
Yeah.
Barrett, before we do get into everything, I do want to give you a heartfelt, I don't know if it's an apology. Just know that I'm with you. Noah dropped some just absolute gas on the timeline this week. I was very happy to get a screenshot of Barrett's order from Noah for a jacket. I even went as far as texting you later in the day saying, I've thought about this 15 times and said to myself, I'm so glad that Barrett got this jacket. And can you explain what happened?
Yeah. Okay, this is I'm gonna back up in a moment here, but because recently I've even had to come up with a word for this, but over the last 7, 8, 9 days, I have been shopstipated.
Okay.
Yeah, full on shopstipation. I'm gonna elaborate a little bit further, but this kind of culminated, Randy, like that.
I feel like I know what it means already.
Noah does these collaborations with Barber, and I've never been like a Barber jacket guy. Like it's a little bit too like English countryside. It just doesn't. It's not totally my vibe. I like them. I respect them, but I've never like had the desire to own one. These collaborations with Noah always kind of like do interesting fabrics and brighter colors. And I've never copped, but like here in our kind of like old money era where this type of trad wear is like hotter than ever, I was like, this is the year, and you never know when it's going to be the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was all teed up like 9:59. I'm on the website, but I got greedy, Will, and I had learned that Noah's email 10% first order discount was going to work on these.
Mm-hmm.
So I logged in with my work email to Shop Pay to Cop. And when I got to checkout,
this is advanced stuff.
When I got to checkout, I realized that only my corporate card was logged into this.
Oh no!
Shop Pay. So I had to spend 45 seconds pulling out my credit card and adding it to checkout. But it worked. Order confirmation. I passed. I got through the gate, but I was a little bit nervous about this. And then like 48 hours later, they emailed me and were like, we oversold the product. This is like a 10:02 confirmation order. It's not like I was slow, but these things absolutely flew. Smaller sizes went the fastest. Apparently if you're in New York, if you're in Manhattan, like they've still got some bigger sizes chilling at the store. But
because women are buying them too.
All the smalls gone way fast. They offered me like they could fulfill an order for like a medium in a different color. I just said no.
Come on, hook your boy up. Hook your boy up.
Barrett, also like tip. Instead of doing that, next time just be like, hey, I realized I didn't get my like 10% off. Can you apply it? People will do that.
Yeah. I also should have, in hindsight, I just should have like let it go on the corporate card.
Yeah.
And then been like, hey, I accidentally charged something to the corporate card. Like, let me pay, like, I'll pay back for it.
Yeah.
The amount of accidental stuff I put on the Scaries card is like alarming. And
Yeah, you can stop doing that whenever.
He's like, what is this charge for our landscaping? I'm like, shit, I did not mean to do this. Sorry.
No, I mean, maybe we could justify
it. Makes it seem like I'm doing it on purpose, but I like, because they're all on my Shop Pay and like the last 4 digits are very similar to like my other credit cards, 4 digits. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. And like, I need to take it off of our Shop Pay.
It's always fun to have the conversation of like, are you doing this on purpose? Like, is everything okay? Like, do I need to be worried about this? That's okay. Barrett, my heart is with you.
It was a swing and a miss. I am super, super bummed about it. And like it's had this long tail already, even though it's only been a few days, because now like nothing looks good to me. I don't want anything. I basically don't want anything.
Yeah.
Because I can't have this thing that I ordered.
Dude, get yourself a spike cop.
A rage cop, right?
Yeah, rage cop.
Yeah, but there's nothing. I thought about that. I was like, what should I rage cop? Nothing was gonna, fill that void. And this all started like 8 or 9 days ago. Like, okay, first one, I've got a $450 credit to Danner. They do the mountain kind of hiking boots.
Mm-hmm.
They have this sick collaboration with South 2 West 8, but for whatever, they're not carrying it on their website. They're carrying the Mad Happy collaboration, which I don't want as much, but not the South 2 West 8 one. So that's stymied. Then I was shopping for Laura's birthday. I was looking at the Gap sweatsuits, and they had this crazy sale with a 20% add-on email checkout. But I was doing this late at night. It got past midnight. All my codes were still working. So I was like, okay, it's going to the next day. Woke up the next day, full sale. Sale was over.
You never shut the laptop.
It was
Barrett,
gone.
Wait, like 2 more days.
Already Gap one is back. But then like a couple days later, I was looking at Saks was running a flash sale. They had they had a Bodhi piece that I really, really wanted. It was like 40% off. I got an email from Saks for like 20% blanket. So I was going to be able to do a little stacking. We love to stack codes here on Retail Therapy. I waited until past 11 that night because I got distracted with some other work stuff. The flash sale fell off because it was a midnight Eastern one.
Of course it was.
So I'm just like over and over and over again. I just keep getting like absolutely like checked into the fucking boards.
I'm sorry.
When I'm trying to cop, and I'm just getting cop blocked. I'm shopstipated.
Cop blocked and shopstipation. I did not have this many new terms.
So it's been I don't know. It's maybe the universe is telling me something here, right?
It's scaling you back.
It's scaling me back.
It's scaling me back.
So
it's tough.
It's okay. It's tough.
Before we get into today's episode, today's show is sponsored by our friends over at BetterHelp. Sometimes you got to take a moment to say thank you to someone in your life, including your therapist. I thank my therapist all the time. Here's the thing. This month's all about gratitude. And along with the person that I shouted out, mainly being my therapist, there's another person who we don't thank enough. Ourselves, guys. Ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that isn't easy. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. I've been using therapy for a long time. I've done it from a touch and go process to weekly appointments to every other month. You know, you just never know when you might need it, but it's helped me through so many different things, both personal, professional, everything in between. If you're thinking of starting therapy, I implore you to give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. It's time to tackle those Sunday scaries head on. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/scaries today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/scaries. All right, Caleb, it's time. We're going to grill you. Sally, where do you want to begin here?
Where do I want to begin?
Yeah. You came up with most of the questions because I knew that you would have better questions than I would.
Well, to preface, Caleb and I have talked about this at length about this episode and, you know, trends in beauty and aesthetics and things like that. And one thing that got Will in to get Botox with me was the rise of Brotox. So I think we should talk about that for a second. And to be fair, Will actually came in under for a different reason, which we will talk about later, which was the armpit Botox. But we did get him to get some in his crow's feet and maybe his 11.
No, we didn't do my crow's feet. We just did I did like the line between my eyebrows.
Your 11s.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's honestly, speaking of a bro that's thought about Botox, me. And even speaking with my dermatologist, like the 11s is what she pointed out. Like if I was gonna do something,
we're
like,
too pensive.
You can do a little forehead, like if you want, but like that little like wrinkle right there is like I think one of the biggest things for guys.
I would say that's primarily that's the main area that men are getting Botox in their face, specifically the 11s. And I don't. Yeah, it's probably because everyone's a little pensive, just kind of like focused in on their computers or squinting all the time. But it's a great area to just like soften for men because those like will etch so deep over time. And Brotox, yeah, it's great.
What would you say is the mix of your patient, like female to male ratio?
I would say 25% of my patients are male.
Okay.
And I'm not sure for other injectors, but I think a component of it has to do with that I'm also a guy.
Okay.
Because I think there's I'm the minority in aesthetics as far as like male injectors. But I do like seeing like the guys, and I understand what they're wanting and, the masculine appearance and what the goals are.
When is the right time for a guy to start getting Botox? You mentioned that you're 29. Will and I are both well into our 30s. And I feel like sometimes Botox is thought of as a preventative more than like a fix. So, can you reverse things like your 11s or your crow's feet, or is it more like stopping it where it is?
So preventing them from occurring before they happen is probably the best way to go about it. But Botox can also, like for lines at rest, it can sometimes get rid of them completely if they're not like too far gone. So as far as like the best time to start for men, it's definitely person specific, right? Like some people just, when you start to see those lines like at rest and you're not making that frowned expression, I would say, okay, maybe it's time to come in.
Okay.
Would you say the same thing for women?
I would. Yeah. Probably like mid to late 20s. And I'm just talking Botox here. Preventing things before they happen can also prolong like more invasive procedures later on down the road. Like, if you were ever thinking about a facelift when you turn 60 or whatever.
Right.
So Will, when did you get your face Botox?
I guess it was the first time. Okay. So I've done 2 rounds of armpit.
It was last November because it was Botox Day when we did it.
Yeah. And then I did another one.
It was what now?
Botox Day.
National Botox Day?
Caleb, I'll let you explain that.
So Botox Day is essentially, it's just this day hyped up around Botox, and essentially Allergan, the company that makes Botox, provides these coupons, I guess. So I think it's normally like you buy a $50 gift card, you get a $50 gift card, something like that, and it stacks up.
Yeah. Is it November 11th because of your 11s?
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Missed marketing opportunity. If
you still have time.
Actually, I know a girl who works for Allergan. we'll talk about this later, but she knew who you were too. I'm going to email her and be like, hey, you should change it to November 11th.
That's a great idea.
I think last year it was like November 16th or something. I don't know why I have that in my head, but I remember specifically being on maternity leave and Will and I both going.
Right.
And like I roped him into it.
So it's been basically a year for you, Will?
Yeah. Like I'm close to being due for if I want to do armpits again. Like I'm about to start sweating down here. Like I wasn't like anti-Botox or anything like that. It was just like, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
But then I started having the problem of like, I was sweating in the office like every single day. I wasn't doing anything, but I just started sweating. And then I started sweating through my shirts. And then I started ruining shirts that I had just bought after like 3 wears because they had deodorant on them or they just felt gross down there or whatever. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm wasting money on new clothes because I'm sweating so badly. I switched deodorants. I tried all these different things. And I was just going crazy because I was like, I've always sweat like a little bit, like maybe a little bit more than the normal person, but it had never been something that was like getting me down like personally day to day. And then finally Sally was like, I think you should go try it. And I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And then like from my experience, the first few days before it set in, the only weird thing that I had happen was that like I started having a different body odor. And
right, I remember you saying
and it was like oniony. And I was like, what's going on? What have I done to myself? But then it all settled in and I was like, oh wait, this has been the greatest thing for me. And like I mean, I rarely sweat. The only time I actually sweat these days is if I do something physical, which is not very often, or if I'm weirdly on an airplane.
Yeah.
And I think I can be an anxious traveler sometimes, and I'll be sitting there like this.
It's easy to sweat on an airplane. It's
Yeah.
just like, you know.
But even then,
so
it's just these little tiny like droplets. Like it's not much.
Caleb, will you explain Botox for hyperhidrosis for us?
Right. And hyperhidrosis is just a really long word for excessive sweating.
Yeah.
So armpit Botox, essentially it's Botox that we place under the arms. We do a couple of injections under each armpit. And one of the great secondary uses of Botox is to reduce sweating. So it shrinks those like sweat glands that you have underneath your arms for about like 6 to 9 months and reduces like the amount that you sweat. And so some other areas that you can get this done are like even in your hands. Mm-hmm. I've even done it in someone's like the soles of their feet before if they're like ruining their shoes because it's a real problem out there like for some people.
Well, I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to ruin more in clothing cost than it would cost me to get this Botox at this point if I keep going down the road that I'm going down.
There you go.
And I'd been sweating for so long that it was like, well, might as well try something new.
And get it done on Botox Day because it'll be half off.
How did you feel about the facial or armpit like injections? What's the injection process like? Is that like weird? Is it scary? Is it a
No, I don't
sensation?
love needles anyway.
Yeah.
But like the needles that you use are they're like very minor.
Tiny.
They're baby needles. Yeah.
Caleb is nice enough to let me know if a spicy one is coming my way.
Okay.
I think you referred to it like that. Like this one might be a little spicy. And it was like, oh yeah, no, that's spicy.
What makes one spicy?
You know, we just have so many nerve endings everywhere.
Yeah,
and sometimes one can just be, and it's certain areas. And so I kind of like have become attuned to this and I'm like, all right, this one's going to be a little spicy. And it's a better word to use than like, this one's going to hurt.
Painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. People respond to it really well.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Will.
No, and like with the one in the like the forehead or like brow, it was just like, I mean, it felt pretty normal. Yeah. Like it just kind of felt like it was just a little prick.
And
like
it's so
nothing
fast.
much. Yeah. There's no pain after anything.
So we talk about Botox, like you always hear about like the units needed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like what type of units do most guys that come in for their first one? How many units do they generally need?
Right. So men in general just have stronger muscles than women do. So if you're hearing this like as a woman and you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of units. Like men are different. And so with the muscles being bigger, you need some more units of Botox.
Okay,
and it depends on the person too, right? Like some people aren't that active there. So I would use a less amount of units, but probably around 16 to 20 units of Botox for the 11s is like where you should be.
And does that mean more shots or just more stuff?
More stuff.
Just more stuff. Yeah. It's a total of either 3 to 5 injections.
Okay.
And again, just very, very small needle.
You need more in like your armpits.
You do need more in your armpits, yeah. Just for the spreadability too. Like, it's a bigger surface area.
Right.
So it gets injected in, and then what happens to your body once it gets injected in?
So when it's injected into the muscles, like in the face, it gets absorbed and basically prevents really sciencey stuff. But essentially, it kind of calms that muscle contraction down, and it takes about 2 weeks for that to kick in for you to see the full effect. But for armpits, it just kind of shrinks that sweat gland really small, so it's not producing as much sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna continue on our Botox train for a little bit before we go to filler. And I just have to say, when Caleb was talking about units, I have a shockingly high amount of units. Caleb and I have talked about this at length, but like, I think I have strong muscles and a really high metabolism for it for some reason.
Okay.
So like, I think the last time we did Daxi, but the last time that I did Botox, I think I got like 70 units in my face, which is kind of a lot.
It is a higher amount than like average. And I would say average amount of units, like for someone, is around like 45 to 50.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see any forehead wrinkles though, Sally. So, you know.
Well,
right.
Yeah. but then I metabolize it quickly. So we've kind of played around with doing other types of injectables. So I'm sure Caleb can explain this as well. But besides Botox, which is probably the most well known,
right?
You also have Dysport, which is owned by a different company, which is owned by
Galderma.
Okay, and then you have Daxify.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who owns that.
Revance, I believe.
But those are all, they do the same thing, but they're made by different companies. So the units are a little bit different, but there's like equivalents. Like Dysport, you need more units, but the units cost less. So it ends up being almost a wash. But some people respond to certain ones better than they respond to others. So you'll hear people talk about that too. Okay. And in my case, we've just done a Russian roulette of things in my face. But
Sally's just had a poor history of responding to them. To be fair,
though, to you, I've also, you can't do neurotoxins, is what the broad term is, while you're pregnant or breastfeeding. So somebody who's like on a maintenance schedule, and then I have to stop because I'm pregnant, and then for another year because I'm breastfeeding, or how, probably 18 months in total. And then to pick it back up, you've got to wouldn't you agree that starting it and then staying on it's going to give you better results than like just this like having a basal level?
Staying
probably
consistent is key. For sure. Because at the end of that like 3-month duration of how long Botox lasts, your muscles are still pretty small. Just from disuse, like not using them as much. And so if you, maintain it every 3 to 4 months, then it's not letting those wrinkles come back and furrow deeper and deeper over time. Funny story about the pregnancy situation, right? So I have a lot of women who I'll get DMs on Instagram, and it'll be like something along the lines of, I'm pregnant, with like crying emojis. And I'm like, congrats, ? But they're just sad because they can't come in and get Botox anymore. And they're like, what can I do? And I'm like, you could do facials.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't get Botox while you're pregnant.
Sorry. Yeah. No, we just give up our, beauty for children, and then we get it back
They
later.
suck the life out of you.
Yeah, they suck the life out of you. I knew about armpits and thus told Will, but what are some other areas that you treat that I feel like everyone immediately is thinking, oh, I'm getting Botox or Dysport or Daxify, whatever it is. And they're thinking like forehead, right? Like that's the norm, or the crow's feet.
Right.
What are the areas that are lesser known that probably should be being talked about?
Oh, this is a fun one. So the masseter muscles, which are like your jaw muscles right here along the corner of the jaw, is one of my favorite areas to do Botox because it can actually like sculpt someone's jaw if this muscle is huge. A lot of people have like TMJ issues also, which is just like a joint dysfunction, and it causes pain right here or tension. I do some Botox injections into these muscles, and it just like slims someone's lower face and kind of contours that jawline a little more. That's a really like popular area.
Well, Barrett, I mean, you hosted a podcast that was very popular called Effing Around about Zac Efron.
Right.
I mean, he had to have had something in his jaw at some point.
It's possible that he has something in his jaw. Yeah. Nobody knows for sure, but
well, I mean, that's an actual Botox treatment, getting in your masseter for TMJ because of the I mean, people get headaches and things like that, and grind their teeth. So getting Botox in your masseter, again, a lot more because your masseter is such a strong muscle.
Now, but we're talking about slimming that, and in 2024, with all of us trying to looks max, is that seems like it's counterintuitive if I'm trying to mew all day and keep that jaw nice.
Keep that bulk.
But it's not that you're like disappearing the jaw. You're just you're slimming, like, especially for a woman, like your strong jaw like doesn't have the same effect as like a more soft appearance. You're not like getting rid of your jawline. You're just not making it so strong.
So there's like two considerations when I do jaw Botox for men and women. For women, they do want that slimmer, like lower face, because it and more volume up top, and so that makes him look younger,
right?
And so that's kind of how I'll do it for women. But for men, we want that snatched jawline, right? And so I'll actually just do anything
for that snatch
along the corner. I'll do it just along the corner here, like enough to where it can like just maybe sharpen that angle a little bit, because the muscle can actually just make it look bulky, like from a side profile point of view.
Let's talk about necks, because this is the thing. If you have ever seen a Real Housewives episode, you realize that when somebody's got good work versus bad work, because their necks look old as shit, right? Like people should be paying attention to their necks, including with skincare.
Are we talking about like the turkey gobble, or are we talking like trap
the crepey neck, and like having like your platismal bands be really tight and your traps? So are you seeing more of that now?
For sure. It's called, the term is the Nefertiti neck lift.
Okay.
And so essentially we have these platismal muscles in our neck, and they just like when they strain, it can cause this like these harsh lines to occur, and these like this skin laxity on the neck. And so when I do Botox in the neck, it actually lifts the neck a little bit and can soften the appearance of those bands. A lot of like the housewives, like their face is snatched, right? But then you look at their necks,
their neck
and you're
is
like,
bad.
Okay, well, we need to address this situation. It's like aesthetics doesn't stop at the face.
Right.
But yeah, that's a great area that people get Botox. And then the traps, like you mentioned, the traps are really good too. A lot of people hold tension in their necks. And so, but from an aesthetic standpoint, it can elongate the neck a little bit. So you're not so like, it's just appealing.
Do people get it? They get it here for their like tension headaches sometimes. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't really treat like for therapeutic purposes per se, but more so for aesthetics. But it can have an effect on like tension headaches, like relieving that tension. But the aesthetic component it's very, slimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think let's move on to filler.
Hold on. Before we move on to filler, can we hear from our great friends over at Early Bird CBD?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you guys have not heard of Early Bird, I'm going to teach you some stuff right now. Early Bird gummies are a recreational hemp product that contain around 2.5 milligrams of natural THC, around 12.5 milligrams of CBD in each gummy. These are formulated for fun and to make you feel good. You see these things everywhere in Austin these days. They have them at hotels that they just put on the pillow before bed. You can get them in stores all around town, and you just see them popping out of people's purses at music festivals or concerts or wherever. Whether you're trying to go to sleep, whether you're trying to hang out with your friends and have a chill time without, tipping back too many. There's so many different use cases for Early Bird. I particularly like them just to wind down at night, enjoy myself. I find that my night's sleep is a lot better if I pop 1 or 2 Early Birds every once in a while. These guys have been a longtime sponsor of ours. In fact, I used to even help stuff the sample packs that you see today at the old HQ. Yeah. It's been a long time. But that being said, almost all the people that I've ever recommended these to have always rebought or asked or said back to me like, oh, I love these things so much. Go get some right now. You can get 20% off of your first purchase with promo code RT20 at earlybirdcbd.com. If you've purchased before, this is a new code, so you can go load the card up because it's just how it is. So go RT20 at earlybirdcbd.com. Sally, what were you saying?
Moving on to filler.
Okay. I don't know anything about filler.
It can be a little scary.
Here's what I know about filler. You're not hot if you don't have it anymore.
Really?
You're not. Do not try to get on Instagram without the puffy lips. Do not try it. You're not going to be an influencer. You cannot sell anything unless your face has filler in it now. I gotta imagine this has overtaken Botox as the thing that people are doing most.
So I am doing a lot of filler, specifically lips.
Yeah.
And it can be a little scary for people the first time, like getting filler, coming in, talking about filler, because you see so many people in the media like with these puffy faces and you're like, oh my God, I do not want to look like that.
Right.
I just kind of want to like restore my youth a little bit. You know what I mean? And that can totally be done with fillers.
Well, I think we had like I would say maybe 10 years ago was like filler? Great. Sign me up. And then like everyone maybe overdid it too much. If you've ever watched an episode of Love Island UK, you will know what I'm talking about.
Well, my favorite thing about when we were talking next earlier, my favorite thing on Love Island UK is when they do their interviews in their little like confessional room and they put on all the makeup on their face. And then you look at the difference between their neck, the color of their neck and the color of their face. And it's like, you need to do something to your neck. Like this looks so ridiculous.
But I think kind of the rise of the Kardashians also probably led a lot to the rise of filler
100%.
Because that was like...
Is it because they were getting filler or was it their look that they just had when they came on?
Probably both. I think...
They were getting filler. I mean, look at the pictures
but also if you... the standard of beauty changed from like being like thin and like willowy to being very voluptuous. And that also was mirrored in our faces, like of having big cheeks. I mean, Kylie Jenner, if you have ever seen any of the pictures of Kylie of like what she looked like then to now, like there was a time, I would say probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago where like her lips looked
ginormous
and insane. And now I would say the trend is probably still getting it, but like in a way that it's like, I noticed something happened to you, but I can't put my finger on it. Now, like, holy moly, your lips look massive. Right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Filler should like now, like my philosophy with filler is it should be undetectable to other people. It should be noticeable enough that you're happy with the change and you feel like more restored. But your lips should not be entering a room before you do. Like,
correct.
They should not be touching your nose.
Is that the duck lip issue?
Let's discuss my recent rendezvous with filler in August. I have been going to Caleb for a few years and wanted to get filler before because it'd been a while too. Because I don't think I had gotten filler in like a year and a half or probably 2 years because I had been pregnant before we went on our trip. And Caleb gave me filler. And I need to explain this because then I need you to tell me what your thought process was and also what people's expectations should be when they get filler. Because we just talked about Botox. Like you get Botox, your face is not going to freeze overnight, right? You're like, you need 2 weeks for it to set
gradual.
When you get filler, I got filler. I waited probably 12 days and I was like, this isn't enough for me. I need more. So I go into Caleb, he gives me more. And then I like absolutely had a full blown panic attack and was texting him probably 5 times a day being like, do my lips look normal? Do I look insane? Like, because let's talk about the whole process, but you get filler, then you have a period of swelling.
Right.
Intense swelling.
Can be scary for people.
Yeah.
I have to explain how your lips look right after we're done. There's a swelling component to that.
Right.
There's also bruises underneath the skin that don't look like bruises yet that are just swelling. So your lips are huge. Like some people are like, oh my God, I look like a clown. I'm like, trust me, trust the process, wait that full 2 weeks and let that swelling go down. And it's, everyone's like, oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Yeah. I think every time knowing what it's going to be like, I still freak out every time.
Right.
Because I come home and Will's like, what'd you do? Because you're so swollen. Like for the first day, you really are. Like you can't.
Well, you never tell me before you go in.
Yeah.
So like you'll get home from work one day and I'm like, you look different. Like,
well, it's swelling and then it goes down and it's fine. But like usually mine lasts. I mean, especially for like how sensitive my skin is, like probably a couple days. And it's always like, Oh my, I think that's the fear about filler because yes, you can dissolve it, but no one's going to like dissolve it immediately after if you like get in and you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Like you're going to tell them exactly what you told me, which is like chill out and wait a couple weeks.
Just wait a couple days. Yeah. And the time frame for everyone is different. 2 weeks is a good like blanket statement that I'll give for people with filler. I'm like, it takes a little bit of time for that filler and your tissue to kind of like integrate together. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the 2 week period, but it can take a little longer sometimes.
Right.
Like probably around like 2 weeks to like 4 weeks would be
right
the ideal time frame.
And does lip filler, does it go away eventually? Or do you have to how does that work?
Yeah. So this is kind of like a popular topic in media right now. It's like, does filler go away? And, we used to, I think our idea of how filler like stays around, I think we are discovering that it's lasting a lot longer than we thought it was going to. We used to say that this was only going to last like a year and then, you need to come in and get more done. But there's like some residual like filler that stays behind. For some people like will get filler and like it will be completely gone in a year and it's apparent. But some people, it's like your lips look the same as like they did when they healed. And so I would say it just depends on the person. And their metabolism, and there's so many variables to it. But did that answer your question?
I think so. I think so.
What's the percentage of men that get filler versus women?
Okay, so
and where's a likely place for a man to get filler?
A lot of men get filler. A lot of like straight men get filler. It's just the places that they're getting it is different, right? Women and men age differently. Fillers are supposed to address volume loss in the face, and are not meant to like lift it back up. A common area that I'll do filler for men is like in their jaw to give them a more defined like contoured jaw. I'll also do it like in this like mid-face area that some would consider cheeks or like under eye, but not so much under eye, more so like mid-face, just to kind of restore that like hollowness that happens. That's like probably my two most popular areas that I'm doing filler for men.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then women, you would say lips and
global.
Yeah.
Like for women, it's just women age at a as women age more harshly than men do just because of hormones and XYZ. But, if there's volume loss in a certain area, we'll throw some filler in there and it looks like undetectable. It looks really great. But fillers aren't designed to lift someone's face back up. And yeah.
Are you able to do a non-surgical rhinoplasty?
Okay. So when I first started injecting, I actually did do these non-surgical rhinoplasties, and they were like all like mainstream, and it's amazing what can be done with filler in the nose. With more education and over the years of experience, I've actually evolved to not doing this anymore. There are a couple of key like anatomical landmarks that are very dangerous to inject close to. And some arteries in the nose are some of them. They actually lead to the back of the eye. And if you get filler in one of those arteries, it can cause blindness.
Okay. All right.
And so I do not do them anymore. I opt for people. I'll tell them straight up. I'll say save your save up for a rhinoplasty.
Just get
if this is your goal, go see it. And Dr. Antunes is a great person in Austin for rhinoplasties, by the way.
Speaking of lifting, I think there is a trend currently of young women, and by young I mean like early 40s, getting mini facelifts.
Yes.
What do you think about this? And also, is anything you're doing affecting that? Because I know that there is a sense of like, if you've got filler, or more specifically, not even filler, scar tissue in your face, it makes it more difficult to have like a good facelift result.
What is a mini facelift first?
Yeah.
A mini facelift, it's a surgical procedure that a surgeon does, obviously, and it is for someone who has like a mild to moderate case of like heaviness in the lower face, like jowls, or increased skin laxity. We know what that is, right? Like, and so if this is a problem for you, like I will, there are some non-surgical things that I can do that don't affect these facelifts, but I will refer them to a plastic surgeon for a mini facelift. It essentially will tighten and tone like the contour of the jaw on the lower face.
So like a facelift for both of y'all. I mean, you're going to have a scar basically.
Right.
Specifically usually right here.
Yeah.
But this is a mini one is just like doing a little bit of a tug and maybe sometimes like an eye lift.
Yeah, it's mini, like you hear like this is, if you believe various Instagram accounts, this is what like Bradley Cooper and Brad Pitt have both had done. Have had done.
Because a facelift,
because you can kind of see like a little scar like here, but you don't get like the,
or sometimes like right in front of their ear.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
And those are mini facelifts. It's just not as invasive as like a major facelift. They're actually different like layers of the face,
right?
And they're staying on the more superficial layers when you're doing a mini facelift. So less downtime, and just a really refreshed result.
Go ahead, Sally.
No, you go.
I was just gonna kind of jump around a little bit, like thinking about these people that are all of your clients that come in and they want filler, they want Botox. I just like when I go get a haircut, I usually bring in photos of like maybe some celebrities that I want to look like. Who do you get the photos of? Who do people want to look like?
That's such a good question. Okay, a lot of the times it's just, I guess, like pictures of people that I've recently done, like my portfolio on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I have to explain to
plug
people,
that Instagram real quick.
Like it's at Caleb with 2 B's, Martin. But what was I saying?
Oh, but just
they
your
reference
portfolio.
the photos on your
the
own
photos
portfolio.
on my portfolio. But I have to explain to people, like everyone's anatomy is so different. Like, these lips may not look good on you, right? They look good on this person because of their other facial features, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this may not look good on you. But for lip inspo, I get a lot of Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
makes sense.
She is a classic.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have to think on that. Actually,
okay, that's a good answer though. Yeah.
Which kind of leads us to our next question of what celebrities are doing it right now? Like who are you looking at that you're like, they're getting great work? Because my personal one right now, aging wonderfully, is Lindsay Lohan. I don't know what she's doing.
I agree.
What is she doing?
Because if you
she
look
looks
at Lindsay
so
Lohan
young,
from 2000,
but so authentically like she used to look.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it might be that Lindsay is actually healthy for the first time in like 20 years.
I think it's a mix of two things. I think it's that she's not probably chain smoking and like doing drugs in the Chateau Marmont bathroom.
Right.
And that she also is getting good work done.
I'm sure that she is, but she also just looks healthy for the first time in a really long time. But she's
one that like came out of nowhere. Like, and I think
within the last like 6 months,
because
basically.
we were like so used to seeing her. I mean, that was like kind of all of our coming of age of like Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, all hanging out, just being party girls.
Right.
And what a time that was.
I would say Paris looks still pretty good.
Yeah.
Lindsay kind of fell off and then came back. Britney is a whole different story. Free Britney. We can talk about that later. She needs help, I think. But she looks great.
I agree with you. Yeah, Lindsay's doing it right. And from like just videos and pictures that I see of her in the media, I can definitely tell she's getting Botox.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I'm not sure if she's confirmed any of this or not, but just by like how her muscles move.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some Botox there.
Yeah.
And she's getting it done by a really good person and they're doing it right. So that's a good thing. Who knows if she's had a mini facelift?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Okay.
Because her jaw is really contoured. And usually by her age, like you're starting to see a little bit of that jowling.
Yeah.
But she still has this tightness to her jaw.
Right.
Which makes me wonder. I'm like, okay, maybe you're getting like some sculpture or filler done in your jawline, like in the back here to kind of, lift that skin a little bit. But, or she's had a mini facelift.
I mean, we also have confirmation on the ground that she looks great in person as well.
Yeah, we had friends who ran into her at a resort in California, and they're like, she looks awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Who would you say, we don't have to call out specific celebrities, but can you explain what pillow face is?
Pillow face. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
this
for
is
those
what
who
I
don't know,
associate with like the Love Island girls.
right? Pillow face, for those who don't know, it is essentially just like an overly filled like face that looks like like a balloon from fillers, and I think less is more, right? With doing in fillers, these people, I think it's a combination of two things, really. I think it is an injector that can't say no or doesn't know where to like put the filler to actually make this person look younger, and maybe a little bit of like body dysmorphia, right? Because you're constantly looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm aging, but I don't know why. And I think it's these lines by my mouth, my smile lines. So can you fill them really quick? And injectors will be like, okay, yeah. And it's just making people look distorted. And I think having a good understanding of anatomy really helps you here as an injector to know where to properly put fillers.
Is it hard? I mean, do you have to say no often to people?
Yes.
Is it hard? Is that a difficult conversation? Do they ever just try to deny you saying no?
Not anymore. I think as I found my confidence, I'm like, no.
I think about like a tattoo artist being like, I'm not doing that because
you gotta trust the expert.
It's not in the vein of something that I normally do, or
Right.
I think you might they might not say you might regret it. I'm sure they have much more, good ways of saying that.
So I do have a good way of saying it. Like, I'll say, no, you don't need this. You actually need this. And like, you feel like you're looking older and you're thinking it's this, but this is actually a result of this. And, by saying that, people are more receptive and they trust you a little more. Like they're like, I like that you said no because I don't want to look crazy. I don't want to look like I have pillow face.
Yeah. What's your least favorite aesthetic treatment or something that you just think is dumb or you won't do? I mean, we talked about the non-surgical rhinoplasty because it's unsafe in your opinion, or if it could be dangerous. Maybe the cons outweigh the pros.
There are cases of blindness. Yeah, it's just scary.
Really scary. Is there anything else that you're like, I'm not going to do that, or
least favorite? So going back to your point of like, what's going to affect my facelift in the future, like scarring and XYZ. Thread lifts.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
I know what those are.
Okay.
I'm Googling. If you've seen me like on my computer today, it's because I've been Googling everything that has been discussed.
You're getting a crash course on aesthetics.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm a visual learner.
The injectors who are hyping threads are usually people who are not very experienced and don't have a lot of background in injectables.
And
or even a medical background. Really.
I was there. You grow.
Yeah.
You grow as a provider and a practitioner, and you learn. I did thread lifts, and I will never do them again. Thread lifts are these, like, if you think of like a surgical thread, like when someone does stitches and they dissolve, like the dissolvable stitches. It's essentially a long dissolvable stitch that we'll put in the face, like from the top to the bottom, essentially. And we'll literally pull on these strings after they're inserted and tie them and plop them underneath the skin. And it actually does lift the superficial layers of the skin to a degree for probably about like maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months.
That seems
not worth it.
Yeah, that seems like an aggressive move for not much juice.
It's also creating a lot of scar tissue for your future facelift surgeon who's going to literally hate you.
I think that's the one that I hear complaints about the most is like, if you get threads, you might be SOL on getting a facelift because it's going to be a lot of scar tissue for them to battle through basically while you're, and like you said, it's not a lot of bang for your buck. Like it's not lasting very long. So I think that was something that I feel like kind of came in vogue a couple of years ago and has now kind of fallen off as people have learned what the ramifications of it were.
Yes.
Yeah. What for people out there who can't go to you, what should they be looking for in an injector? How can you tell if someone's good? How can you tell if someone's going to be conservative with you? Like, what's the best way to find someone that you trust?
I think social media is a really good thing here for this.
Yeah.
A lot of people will find me through my social media, and my Instagram acts as like a portfolio of kind of like work that I've done. And make sure that this person that you find on Instagram matches your aesthetic vibe. Like if you're wanting like natural enhancements, like go look at their work. Like see if they've like given someone a natural enhancement before. I think go to someone, if they tell you no in the room, then that's your person, stay with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not telling you no because like they don't want to do it. They're telling you no because they know it's going to make you look bad.
Right.
Or like you have pillow face. My mom always taught me growing up, don't go get your hair cut by someone who has bad hair.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a room
Touché.
with a woman with lips that are huge or puffy cheeks, run.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, there was that TikTok that went crazy viral that was like going around the office of being like, my name's blah, blah, blah. I have this many
They're
units.
like at a derm office, I think.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, some of this is scary. Like,
but all those girls actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, but some of them looked better than others. The point was being
like, or at least to me, this is how I took it as someone who gets an insane amount of Botox because I need to. Like, there are some girls who like look young and natural and who are like, I've had 100 units. And then there's other people, like one of the older people's like, I get like 20.
Right.
Because everyone's different. So there's like.
And the amount of units you get doesn't necessarily mean how like frozen you're going to look or unnatural. Right. It's all about like where you're actually putting these units.
And like your own anatomy and your metabolism and like what your muscles are
exactly. Like we do a lot of units for you just because like for whatever reason, there's these people like that don't respond super well to medications. And this isn't like abnormal or anything. There's some people that don't respond to other like
it's that
medically
redhead
related medications. And so
have you actually found that anecdotally do redheads have other issues?
Do redheads have?
Is it just me? Because that's the thing in anesthesia.
I'm going to start a case study.
Yeah. Because that's what I have always suspected because I do not respond to pain medicine well. Like it doesn't really work. I mean, ask Will. I was like totally had to be strung out the full 24 hours after Charlie because I like nothing was working until they just full blown gave me Dilaudid. There
has to be something.
I don't respond to anesthesia well, but there's not a specified gene that they can figure out why redheads bleed more and don't respond to anesthesia. So I do think that something in the redhead genus makes you respond differently or like in the non-expected way to probably a bunch of drugs.
I definitely think that that's valid. Yeah,
I'll help you on that case study. We'll write a little paper.
We're going to publish it.
When my sons are old enough, we can use them.
Well,
they're about 40 years off.
We don't have to. We don't have to use them as our subjects. I'm sure there's other people that'll volunteer.
And there are probably other redheads who want Botox.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any other? I think we've gone through a lot of stuff.
I've honestly been learning this entire time.
Yeah.
Can we goss for a second? I'm not going to bring up any pillow faces because the pillow faces are mostly in older women and I don't want to be mean, but I feel like some of the younger celebs out there are worth mentioning because they get talked about a lot for this type of stuff. And I want group opinions on them, okay?
Yeah,
okay?
I have someone specifically I would love to talk about.
Okay, we got to talk about the queen first of all of this. How do we feel about Kylie's work? Is it good or bad?
I think Kylie's is getting better.
Better.
Because I think she, like we said, like hit a peak of bad work.
Yeah.
And has backed off since
She's
then.
definitely
I think she looks great.
Her fillers.
She's dissolved a lot.
A lot of her fillers, but also still has filler.
Right.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, but not 100%, nearly as much as she did probably in 2015 or 16.
Right.
I mean, the lips are still very, very full.
Right.
I know this is some makeup too.
And a lot of it, is that lip liner that they do too can be like an optical illusion.
Oh.
Okay. Somebody that has been speculated that she has threads. The podcast queen herself, Alex Cooper.
I don't think so.
Don't think she has threads. I think she has a good injector.
Okay.
I think she is taking care of herself.
She could totally have the same amount of filler as she had a couple of years ago, just in the proper places now.
Right.
Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm looking old, I need filler in my cheeks, like keep putting filler in my cheeks, like when you don't really need it there, you need it like somewhere else.
Right.
It's gonna make you look really bad.
Yeah. No, I think her work looks great.
I think it's looking better for sure.
Who you got, Sally?
Caleb did a video about this.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to get political the week of the election, but like, how bad does Matt Gaetz look?
Oh yeah. That was a rough one. Yeah.
Caleb, this is on your Instagram.
It is.
Because they asked you to explain it, but like, what went wrong? Can you pull the
poor
pictures
guy.
up?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Yeah.
He
feel
chose
so
a
bad
terrible
for
time
him.
to do it.
Why? I understand why, actually. You're about to go on like public like television and you want to look good. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go
Google
What did he do?
Google Matt Gaetz plastic surgery because they have a side by side in the first result that Will's looking at that I think makes it very apparent of like what happened.
Well, he kind of already has like, for the lack of a better word, like cartoony features a little bit. Like he already kind of is like very pronounced in certain ways and everything. But it was like a collective like when like he started speaking at the RNC.
Yeah.
So soften those. Don't enhance them. You know, like those features. His brows. Oh my God.
The
eyebrows are
so crazy. Yeah.
That is bizarre.
But like what
it's so easy to fix too, looking at this picture. Like I could fix this in less than a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So what would you do?
Okay. So in the second picture right now, like his eyebrows are really high on like the edges, kind of like spocked almost.
Yeah.
And so that means that the injector, when they were treating like the forehead lines, didn't go out far enough to the sides and hit that muscle on the side. They kind of stayed too much in the middle.
They only just put it like right here in the middle of his forehead.
And so what happened is like when you think about the eyebrow, like the forehead, like this is like a lifting muscle. It lifts your eyebrows.
Right.
So whenever you put Botox there, like it softens that. And so he's able to lift his eyebrows on the very edges, but not in the middle.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So, but to fix this, I would probably just do like literally 2 units on each side of his forehead there above that arch of his brow. And that would make him look better. But you have to just wait for all that to wear off.
And he clearly wanted to like, he wanted to bring this, he's doing that mid-face thing, right? Where like because his face looks so flat in the second photo where it's got more of the depths and the natural depths and highs and lows in the first one.
Yeah.
And then he just got rid of all that. He got rid of the smile lines and the creases. And
looking at his like first picture here, like he didn't look bad.
No,
he did not look bad. Maybe he has a little bit of crow's feet like on his eyes and maybe has some of that 11s. And I'll do this for men a lot. Like I'll literally just treat these 2 areas because it's not like in your face. You know what I mean? Like it's very soft and it lifts their brows in just a kind of like a way that reduces this like heaviness.
Yeah.
And so,
what a dweeby photo on the left here. Sorry. It looks like a fraternity composite photo.
It does. It might be. Maybe that's
it could be, yeah. So how long would it take for his face to kind of resume its normal look before like it seems like he went on stage just way too fast. I don't know.
So, you know, Botox takes 2 weeks to kick in, right? So he probably got this 2 weeks before. 2 weeks before. And he's probably waking up that morning going, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to wait like the 3 to 4 months for that to wear off. And then I can guarantee you he's never getting Botox again. Because that just creates an aversion for someone. They're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's probably surrounded by so many yes men.
True.
They're just telling him he looks
like,
great.
yeah, it looks awesome.
I mean, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him lately, so I can't speak to how this is going for him.
Did you have any other celebs?
No, those were the 2 that had come to mind.
One.
Who you got, Randy?
What about Starlight?
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Dave just met her.
Moriarty, Erin Moriarty.
Erin Moriarty.
Yes,
I've never seen one episode of The Boys, but
I only saw her.
I know
at the
this because
Bowery.
we saw her in a place. But she gets talked about a lot in that like she was naturally very pretty, and then it's not that she's not pretty now. It's just that like she clearly had a ton of work done.
Yeah.
Well, she got a nose job, obviously, right? Like,
Definitely got a nose job.
I liked her nose before, personally.
I know.
I'm not going to tear down her appearance, but I think
she was gorgeous when we saw her in the Bowery Hotel.
Yeah, she's really pretty.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear that in person, it maybe not as stark as.
Because I mean, I didn't know who she was when we saw her, and but I was like, oh, that's a beautiful blonde woman sitting 2 tables over from us. Like
Right.
I never would have sat there and said like, oh, she got too much stuff done.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so much of what we see on like red carpet photos and stuff, it's also like they're also getting like full on glam contour makeup. And I think that sometimes that really like.
And they're also getting the brightest of bright lights in their face during these photos that like amplifies anything.
Right.
Well, but also there is a component of like, especially award shows and stuff like that if you have ever seen like the pictures that we see in magazines or online are not always like the real, like there are blemishes, things like that we have no sense of what's going on because they Photoshop a lot of this. Like even the stuff that are paparazzi photos, stuff is getting Photoshopped. So it's very hard to tell or probably even recreate some of the stuff that people want because you're like, this isn't physically how they probably look because there's a level of Photoshop happening on their own Instagrams even, right?
True.
I mean, the Kardashians are the queens of that.
I have one last one, and this is more of a compliment than anything because when I Googled it, one of the first results that came up was, when did John Mulaney get hot? Because he has not always had this masculine face to me with this built-out jawline, and I can't tell because when I looked at before and after photos, there's not like this huge difference that is like jarring. But when he hosted SNL the other night, I was like, has he always been this chiseled?
Okay, but I do hate his haircut.
I don't mind the haircut. I think
the haircut makes him
the
look
boys
like
are
he
growing
should
it
be
out these days, Sal. Just let the boys have long hair.
No, he looked like
I just
like
feel
weird
like
aunt named
I
Carol.
don't feel like it's bad, but he just kind of looks more like superhero to me than he used to look.
I think that one of the bigger things is that he gained weight.
Okay,
because he also looked like when they did the musical sketch that he always does. He's like wearing like this like pretty snug t-shirt, and he just looks much bulkier than he ever did.
That's fair. That's fair.
In his early days,
I think he looks good.
I also think like it's just like I'm sure that he has had a little bit of aesthetic work done, but it's also
probably
like just like
mostly in the chin and the jaw
area
here.
Yeah, but it's also just like the post rehab. Now I'm married to Olivia Munn glow up. You know. Mm-hmm. Like he's hosting a bunch of things. He's more popular than ever. People always get hot when they get super popular, you know?
True.
Well, the other thing that we didn't talk about that we don't have to talk about at length because I do want Will to also bring on our dentist friend Nick. But when you do all of this, what we also are forgetting is a lot of celebrities have veneers.
Yeah,
which like changes your smile and like.
Let's go to Turkey.
But Caleb and I have also talked about this because you were talking about like finding a dentist in Austin, same thing, like same philosophy of like, you want someone to maybe think like you look great, but not be like, oh, wow, your mouth is full of chiclets. Yeah. Like,
you don't want someone to be like, oh my God, I love your veneers.
Right. Right.
Like you just want them to like say you look good and they can't put their finger
like your
on
smile looks nice
that
or
you
like
had done. And I have veneers. I got them right before my wedding 2.5 years ago. And Dr. Tejas Patel in Austin here does a great job at just making them look very natural.
Yeah.
You can like choose the color. His team is great. And he just like listened to my OCD, like what I wanted.
That's another, I think, Love Island knock is like this very stereotypical, I don't even know what you would call that like population group in the UK that's just trashy, unfortunately. But they look like very pillow face and they have veneers they all go to like Turkey or Thailand.
Right, to get the exact same.
And they like have just insane white giant teeth that like are even to their molars so that they open their mouth and you're like, how do you have that many teeth? It's like, it just like draws attention to it, you know, because you're like, oh my God, like you just have so many teeth.
Well, there's a video that went viral the other day that was like this guy from England and he was talking. He's like, so many people have asked me where I've had these done. I went to Turkey, and then he opens his mouth and everyone's like, no. No one's asking. No one is saying that these look natural, but you're telling us they do. Yes, this is the guy. And I was just like, you can't act like this looks supernatural. And it's worse it's much more prominent in the video just because, you know.
So
Callum's
don't look that bad.
Yeah, Callum's are okay. It's sad that we immediately were like, Callum's pretty good.
The guy that was on Callum's
we started
season,
with the other one.
Connor.
These do go all the way.
Okay,
They do.
Barrett, look up Connor, CONOR, Love Island, UK season 6.
I was saying it was sad that we knew his name immediately.
That I know all of that, but this guy went to Thailand. His teeth legitimately might have glowed in the dark in a black light. Like they were so insanely white.
So white.
And you'd be like, oh my, the blinding. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Just crazy teeth. That's not even a good like representation. I feel like.
See if I can find him.
You need him in like the one of him laying on the lounge chair there. Like, just you could like see them from like across the like at night. You're just like they're like a beacon of light.
They all are doing the ones where it's like so straight across on the bottom.
Yeah,
like every
that's
single
the biggest
tooth
tell
is the
to me.
same length, and there's no like gap, so it's just
Right.
like it almost looks like you have
look-
a mouth guard in.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Connors were horrible. Okay, sorry, that was a random tangent, but I think we have obviously surmised that like maybe not less is more, but natural is more. Like it will do more for you to put it in strategic areas. Listen to an injector who's gonna be conservative,
and especially long term, right?
Right.
Because like you said, you want it to look like you don't want it to be obvious immediately what you've had done.
Exactly.
Just maybe that something's a little better. Right.
Yeah.
And like that's what I always think about with the fillers. It's like probably eventually like the super full lip is not going to be like the number one beauty standard anymore. And so it's better to kind of err on that side of caution.
I mean, yeah, look where we were 20 years ago and the eyebrows were all like one single hair thick.
Pencil thin.
Yeah. That was a bad time for us. Okay. Let's all just never go back to that, please. That was horrible.
Should we volume shoot some wish list items?
Let's do it.
Who wants to begin?
Let's get 4 brand new wish list items up on the board. Will?
I'll go first.
Why don't you start?
Last week's episode, we talked about what I've called my potential fit of the fall from, I believe his name is still pronounced Leon Cerrone.
Nobody's corrected us, right?
Nobody's corrected us.
Okay,
I have had a DM conversation with him since this. I went to his page.
Nice.
I went to his page to go pull a photo from it for a clip on Retail Therapy's Instagram and saw that he had already posted us talking about him. And I was like, oh, that's so great. Thank you. But he and I exchanged a very brief DM conversation, and now I'm just going to redo his fit. And in order to do that, I need a scarf that has the same type of swag that he has. And I don't know if this is the one, but it's new. It's something we probably would have talked about had we not had a guest on today. Aaron Levine did a collaboration with Drake's, which was kind of, I wasn't expecting an Aaron Levine Drake's collaboration, but I was happy to see something. I didn't love the collection as a whole, but I did think this scarf was particularly cool. And you need a drapey scarf that's not too bulky if you're going to pull off the fit that we talked about last week. And so I'm putting that on my list.
What you got, Sally?
I just texted you.
Okay.
Mine. Did it show
Bear
up?
doesn't have text on his computer.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Okay.
That's okay, though. I can pull it up.
I don't either.
Okay. Well, I have been lusting after the Doe and Pascal barn jacket that came back in stock a couple weeks ago. I almost bought it, but I bought one from Cause that I really like. It was like that burgundy one I wore in New York all the time. And I was like, I don't need 2 barn jackets. Let's be serious. This is not going to like stay in style. And also like, I don't need a $450 barn jacket at all. So
Can't wear a $450 jacket in a barn.
it is the Sephora sale currently.
That's right.
This is currently sold out on Sephora, so I might just have to go straight to the source. But I want this Patrick Ta Beauty, the Major Dimension Eye Illusion Eyeshadow Duo in the Talk to My Team color, or the one on the very right that's like the really gold. Yeah, it's just my vibe right now.
Okay.
It's my basic $42 wish list item. I mean, and a host of women's rights would be great, but I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, don't get too greedy, Sally. You know, it's too much to ask for.
Big wish.
Sally, you're always on the bleeding edge. You always know the hottest like cosmetics. I've never even heard of Patrick Ta. How do you stay up up on all this on all the makeup cosmetic type stuff?
I have curated my Instagram as of late of like, I think following some really good fashion and beauty accounts. But the way that I actually found this was through the bookstagram that I follow, Beach Reads and Bubblies.
Yeah. That's one of Laura's favorites.
She has a Gen Z sister, and her sister found it.
Okay.
So you got to stay hot on the streets.
Do you follow the Gen Z sister now?
I do not follow the Gen Z sister, but I had like my algorithm like fully locked into like some really good street style stuff, some really good makeup and skincare recs, and then I just wrecked it a couple days ago. And like now it's just filled with like insane things like cake videos and other stuff that doesn't matter.
Cake videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just watching cake decoration videos to like really unwind after the election. So now that's my full algorithm.
It's therapeutic.
We've been saving the Great British Baking Show for when we go up to Northern Michigan for Thanksgiving and watch it with my parents.
It's a good season.
All I want to do is watch this damn show.
We might just have to start this weekend.
That's fine. Sign me up.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb, what you got?
Okay. Big wish. The Cartier tank must watch.
Ooh,
I need it.
Yeah.
I need it.
Y'all have talked about Cartier watches.
We have talked about Cartier's, the tank specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We're stands. And the awesome thing about the Cartier watches is that they're essentially, I mean, I don't want to step on what Caleb wants to say about it, but they like, one, you can get them. You can walk in and buy one,
right?
Which is nice.
You can add to bag right now.
You can add to cart. Two, they're far less expensive than the Rolex GMTs and subs and Datejust that everybody wants. And three, they still hold their value. They're still heirloom pieces. They're still amazing quality, and they're much more.
This is such a timeless piece right to me.
Yeah.
Well,
because you can wear this. I mean, like you can literally have this on in 60 years. I mean, I don't know if it'll work, but it like will look still so classic and not trendy.
Mm-hmm. And like coming at this from like a fashion bro perspective and not a watch person perspective, like I don't think any differently if I saw someone with this on than like a $35,000 Rolex. Like I'm still like, oh, that's a nice looking watch. That's cool.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like it looks good. If I could have any watch right now, it'd be this style.
Are you a watch guy, Caleb?
I want to be.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to get me this watch?
I want to be this watch guy.
I want to be this watch guy. I want to be this watch guy, and I want to even get it engraved. I don't know what I'm going to put on it, but I'm going to add that to cart too.
Have you gone to like Benbridge or the Cartier store and tried one of these on yet?
I haven't.
No,
that sounds like a great
that's
idea.
You should dangerous. Do that. That's such a slippery slope.
Yeah, because once you got it on, you're like,
well, that's it. You got to know. You can't pull trig on an item this
is the
high without
thing, though.
knowing.
This is the thing. Will sent me a Substack the other day. We got to be buying these luxury items right now before the tariffs hit.
That's true.
Okay,
that's
so
true,
like you tell your husband, you tell Spencer, like this is the year because otherwise the price is going up significantly.
Christmas 2024.
Yep. If you're getting luxury
graduation
stuff, now's
present,
the time.
Like do it now.
What do you guys think of the band on this one though? Do you like the classic like band or like the black, the black leather one?
I've always skewed black leather or just leather in general, just because I dress casually, even in dressier situations. I feel like I'm still kind of dressed down, but I've also never been someone, it's actually shocking I'm wearing my wedding ring today. Like I don't like having anything on me. Which is why I don't think it's smart for me to invest in a watch, but I've always just been more dressed down. And so I just have always gone away from this, but like, I mean, the dream is just having both.
I think the all metal version, is my dream version because I think it'll age better and it will always like you can dress that up or down.
Yeah.
I'm also on team stainless steel. The reason that I would go for the black leather strap if I was getting one today is because I have a nice stainless steel watch.
Right.
But if I was just in a vacuum, I like the stainless steel version. I've got a family friend that wears a stainless Cartier tank like this, and it's awesome looking. Like it really stands out. It's really beautiful watch.
Yeah. I hope you get it.
Me too. Spencer, I hope you're listening.
Spencer, you need a gift for after your first podcast recording.
True.
It's true. That's gonna be I'm gonna have you all write
maybe just a little treat.
Message.
Just a little treat.
It's gonna say Brotox.
It's just gonna say Brotox pillow face.
It's gonna say Brotox pillow face.
So I, as I said at the top of the pod, I've been struggling with not that much sounds good to me after the catastrophic failure that was my Noah order. So I'm keeping it simple here. The homies over at Uniform LA just dropped a new batch of their heavyweight cropped tees in both short sleeve and long sleeve.
You wear these now, right?
I do.
Is this what you're wearing currently?
No, so I have on a John Elliott version, but this is a super similar cut to what I've got on. And I own a couple of the short sleeve ones. Where I'm going specifically today is with the long sleeve.
Yeah.
A crop tee is awesome in a short sleeve. They're perfected in long sleeve. There's something about like the kind of like loose baggy sleeves with the cropped cut that just like hits really hard, especially in when in our air quotes fall when it's like 74 degrees. In this washed sky color, I really really like this. I found last year I had like too many dark t-shirts because like my outerwear and my pants in the colder weather tend to be dark, and so you kind of want to pair it like everything was looking too like gemstoned or dark or like saturated. And so I need more light colored t-shirts. And so I really like this kind of like washed out gray blue, which I think will look really nice under a whole host of jackets and coats.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, great chat.
Glad.
or great yap, as the kids are saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great yap.
Yeah, good
Listen,
yap. Listen, yap.
Randy, do you want to ring the bell just because we didn't get to today?
For what?
Just any. Caleb did just recently go. What store did you go to recently in New York?
The Amélion Tours.
There it is.
There we go.
There we go. Thank
They
you,
ring
Randy.
the bell every time they say it.
Say that.
It's said too much. All right, let's get out of here.
Thanks,
Go follow Caleb on Instagram, Caleb with 2 B's, Martin, and we'll see you later.
Bye.